All right. So we are now about halfway through our presentation. I'd like to introduce Terri Stange. She's our Senior Manager of Strategic Accounts here at SAE. She's going to give us sort of an introduction in today's guest speaker, and then she's going to be introducing Rohit Saha as well, the Technical Advisor for Cummins. Terri is going to, I'm actually going to pull up the Mobilus platform because she has a really nice talk track with us today in terms of searching, doing a competitive search and analysis utilizing the platform. So Terri, I'll go ahead and do the search with us if you want to go ahead and get started.
Great. Good morning, everyone. As she told you, I'm Terri Stange. My role at SAE is a strategic account manager working with an assigned list of top primes and top tiers. Now, in my role, I connect organizations to different business groups within SAE to help them leverage all the activities we have. But in addition, I actually help the organizations with their subscriptions and the content needs of their engineering communities. Now, in the process of doing that, I realized that engineers are so busy, and our Mobilus platform is really the predominant technical content that is, it's unparalleled to anyone else in the world because we are more accepted in mobility industry for our standards and our technical content than anyone else. And what occurred to me is nobody was using Mobilus as a strategic intelligence tool. And I think this is really important for people to think about. So that's why I'm very happy to be here today. And later, Rohit, who is my friend and a big SAE supporter from Cummins, I'm going to have a conversation with him. He's going to present how he's actually leveraged Mobilus strategically. And this is just a way for you to get past the thought of get in and get out after you download something. Okay, so the first thing I was going to do with Angela was demonstrate that you should be thinking about going into the Mobilus platform and searching your competitors. So search technical papers, whatever content you want. But the reasoning behind that is if you can see these papers, you can see who your competitor is actually authoring with. Maybe they're authoring with one of your clients. Maybe they're authoring with a university that your organization would like to do research with. And it's a great way to think ahead of, oh my gosh, look at this technology that they authored. Maybe I have, or my organization has, a better technology that will help them solve problems. It's also a great way to keep tabs on what your competitors are communicating. This platform literally has 5 million views a year, at least. And so by actually pulling the data, you may see that a competitor hasn't published anything recently, but that's no reason for you not to. That gives you opportunity. It gives you opportunity to put your thought leadership into this platform and reach millions of views in a year. But when you look up a competitor, and I believe, Angela, do you have Daimler up?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. So if you go to the top for me, Angela, at the very top, you can see there are about 30 documents. Now, in the very top, you can see that we searched Daimler based on metadata and full text. Okay, so this lookup will bring up any mention of Daimler. So if an SAE magazine editor has mentioned them, if they have co-authored, or if they're mentioned inside a technical paper that someone else authored, that will pull up. But you can narrow this down to just Daimler if you want. And then if you save that, well, and I'm jumping around there a little bit, but in the dropdown, you can actually search by author affiliation. And you narrow down and get exactly what's right for you in your intelligence tracking. And you can save that in your dashboard and set an alert. And if you set an alert, now you will get a notification anytime Daimler co-author, Daimler author is ever added to the Mobilus platform. That way you can keep an eye on things. The other part of it is you should also be searching your own company. Because if you're not publishing, then you're really missing the boat. I've got to be honest with you. That's another part of the strategy that I'll talk about. Because when you're searching technical papers and other content, you could come across all kinds of them, new entrants into the market. And Rohit will actually later explain how he has successfully leveraged it. But, whether your competitors are publishing or not, strategically, your organization should really start thinking about what they want to publish about and basically talk to your customers about it, or your prospects, so to speak. And on the left rail, you can actually, with this lookup, under authors, if you wanted to expand that area. Can you do that for me, Angela? Yeah. See, behind that list of authors, you see a number. That's how many documents that person authored or co-authored. So you can drill down and save this search and really use this as market intelligence. Maybe your organization has a subscription to our technical papers. You could print out a paper and call that person at a prime or at a top tier that you want to work with, compliment them on the paper, get into a discussion. So I can't stress enough how you should be thinking about it in those terms. And where the rubber really hits the road in this platform is registering for the dashboard so you can save those types of searches. Yeah. And Angela's already showed you how to do that. So the other aspect of this is if you wanted to go into author affiliations and narrow it down, you can also take a look at maybe universities that your organization wants to do research with and see what they've been publishing or co-authoring as well. Okay, so and on the other side of the fence, the opportunity to publish through SAE, I can't stress this enough. If you're not publishing, you're not showing your thought leadership. We have the most credible database of mobility content in the world. And to be associated with that, I think is nothing more than beneficial to the individual who authors professionally, as well as to the organization that they work for. And Angela, I wanted to show them next another aspect of a strategic way to leverage this platform. If you would go to the committee standards tab for me, please. This is a critical page inside Mobilus that I just want to highlight. Every single community that we have is listed out on this tab. Those little triangles, you expand one, and you will be able to see the numbers behind each committee are the number of standards that that committee is responsible for. So if you click on one of those committees in Mobilus, first thing it'll do is take you to all of those standards. So would you mind, Angela, clicking on something so they can see? There we go. So she clicked on this committee, and at the top, you will see there's the committee on the bottom left. And then if you go up to the top of the page, you can see it pulled up all of those standards. Now, you can wick it down by topic. And if you want to just click on a standard so we can see the home page. Now, on the left rail, you can see that there's information about references. The other part, too, is, when you're talking about historic standards, that is also an excellent thing for you to leverage, because historic standards really help with knowledge transfer with young professionals. I've noticed in all the years at SAE that young professionals typically, they like to get published, and the immediate gratification is great, but standards works, and developing standards is a critical aspect for all of industry. And teaching them how to get involved in these committees, I believe, is also a market strategy that all corporations should implement. So if you want to look up a specific standard, Angela, and then we can go to show them how to go to standard works.
Yeah, no problem, Terry. I actually thought the AMS 2759 was a good example.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, it's a new publication. Oh, sorry, it's trying to find it under the under that committee search. But I think that's a really good one because it's a new publication that we highlighted this month in the newsletter.
Right.
So let me get over there and get to standards works.
And while Angela's doing that, the thing is that what a lot of people don't understand is that SAE International, our committees, our standard committees, you do not have to be on the committee or an SAE member to attend a meeting face-to-face or dial into one of their WebEx meetings, just to listen. And that's critical because with everyone working at home, obviously there are a lot of WebEx, but they are planning some face-to-face for next year. And the fact that you should always take a look at what committees, standard committees, your organization is on and cross-reference it with the ground vehicle chart for all the committees or aerospace chart, because maybe there are committees that are important technologies that you're not on. Maybe autonomous committees. We're always creating new committees. So I encourage everyone to cross-reference who you have on standards committees and what committees are not covered. Because if you are not on a committee or participating, at least listening to what's going on, you're allowing your competitors to basically set the direction of those standards. But here, as she's looked up the standard in Mobilus, once you click on go to Standard Works, it will take you to the home page of that exact committee. And in the middle column, you can see their meetings. If you scroll to the very bottom, every homepage has the SAE subject matter expert that works with that committee in a hyperlink. So if you had questions about, wonder what activities this committee is working on, you could always click that hyperlink at the bottom and it'll generate an email to the committee handler, so to speak, the person at SAE that works with this committee. The other aspect of this is on the tab called WIP. You can keep an eye on what they're developing. This I can't stress enough, especially for YPs. Existing professionals maybe sitting on a standards committee. Look, baby boomers are, retiring all the time. There are furloughs all over the place. But dovetailing a young professional with a seasoned professional on a standards committee is a great strategy because now it's a knowledge transfer to help the YPs understand how to go about setting a standard. And SAE standards our process is so transparent. That's why our standards are adopted worldwide more than any other mobility and from government entities and such, because anybody can listen. Many organizations, societies, like, for example, offshore. In Europe, there are many where you have to have a world headquarters there. You have to be a member. There's criteria. And then they pick and choose. SAE never does that because we want all the best minds. We want industry to participate. So this is another way you can leverage the strategy. You can also save all of the standards from any of these committees and set an alert. So once there's a revision, you get notified right away. Okay, that being said, the other aspect is the knowledge transfer. And I want to talk a little bit about leveraging aerospace and aerospace materials for innovation. I think all ground vehicle companies should really be encouraging their engineers to look at AMS standards, aerospace materials, for the design of a ground vehicle product. Think about going to your customer and saying, wow, we were innovated by product development and specifications from aerospace to lightweight or to cut emissions. So Rohit has actually leveraged it for those reasons. And basically, if you don't start thinking in terms like that, I think you're going to get left behind because a lot of big ground vehicle companies are already doing it. So that being said, I would like to introduce Rohit at this juncture so that he can actually share with you the applications that he has taken from SAE Mobilus, how the content has helped him, how he's participated, and how the strategies have worked for him in his role and in his career path. So Rohit Saha is currently the simulation-based customer integration technical advisor at Cummins. He specializes on multi-domain machine-level performance tools and methods for both on-highway and off-highway machines. He has published over 12 SAE technical papers and 12 patents at various stages of approval. He's been providing machine integration and design services to Cummins OEMs since 2011. He holds a BS degree in civil engineering from India Institute of Technology and an MS degree in mechanical engineering from Texas A&M. He's an SAE member and a recipient of the SAE AEM's Young Engineer Award. I'm so thrilled he's here.
Thanks, Terry. So good morning, everyone. Today, Angela and Terry invited me to talk about, to share my thoughts on how SAE Mobilus is being used as a market intelligence tool. So that's a topic A. Topic B is basically they wanted to share my thoughts on how SAE has helped me in my career path and how it's going to help some of the new upcoming young professionals. So third path topic is Terry just shared about aerospace and automotive. And it's surprising, I just thought about it. SAE stands for Society of Automotive Engineer, but A stands for automotive, but A also stands for aerospace. So that common thread between in the center word has a lot of commonalities in this industry, and I'm going to show some of the perspective what between aerospace and the automotive world or the commercial ground vehicle world. Then with that, I'm going to share some of the common trends in these two industries. And I'm going to close my talk with why we should cross-reference both the worlds together. And that will be closing of my slide. So next slide, please. So this slide, this is very generic. What is the role of SAE and SAE Mobilus? So SAE Mobilus is a repository of different technical publication and standards. And as Terry mentioned, I'm not going to repeat, is that Cummins being an engine supplier or a powertrain supplier, we work with different OEMs. So these standards actually ensure that our integration with different machines happen in a consistent way. So that's really critical for us, that SAE standards play a super critical role for the suppliers, and especially integrating our components into the machine or chassis. And that's on the technical aspect. So which stands for technology integration. Next one is that is being very transparent and open to all, as Terry mentioned. Second topic in the slide is the books and journals. Definitely, it acts as an source of knowledge. You can update yourself with the technologies, what are coming on and what's going on in the industry these days, in details and the technical aspects of it. Sometimes you also would like to get yourself validated through some of the checks, and this is where you can use this as a competitive intelligence tool or the market intelligence tool, and I'm going to talk about it in the next slide. Last two topic is really what publication gives. If you go back to the previous slide, is the publication. As we know that SAE is a very well recognized, very well respected body across the world, and it provides us the credibility and also the recognition. And what it does, that whenever we have those publications in our back pocket, we can just, it helps us to approach government or customer just to say that, hey, we have published in SAE, it has been peer reviewed and people are referring it, so customer thinks that, hey, they know what they're talking about. And based on that, these days a lot of new startups are coming up. So if they have published and showed some demonstration to it, it also gives them access to the government funds and the public investment. So those are some of the commercial aspects and the benefits of publication in SAE. So if you can go to the next slide. Now, these are the things which I thought that what SAE Mobilus does as a market intelligence tool. So first of all, SAE Mobilus, we can search what our competition is doing. For example, engine emissions path, what our competition is doing, what Cummins is doing. So that's the technology path, you can say. Second part of it, that for using that technology, who are the supplier they have been using? For example, who are the brake suppliers they are using? Who are the steering system suppliers they are using? Who are the tire people or the transmission people they are using, and why they are using it? So, and papers have all the details and technical specification of it. So that helps them to, screen out who are the suppliers they will be working with. Third part is the consultant, university, and the national labs. So whenever you develop a new technology, you know that who are the folks who got this core expertise and capability with them. So those papers, we can refer that and see that which labs have done that work and who have those testing capability for us when you try to develop certain technology. Fourth part, which personally I have used quite a lot, is software and the tools. So if I'm looking into certain topic, I am very interested in knowing that which software our competition is using or what kind of measurement systems they have been using. So that gives us some credibility, and we can actually access those same softwares or tools because they are typically commercially available, to ensure that we gain some kind of standardization in usage of the tools and the software. Next one is the piloted customer. So when you are working on a new technology, you definitely select a technology partner. So it's not only the core of the technology where you pilot it, that also gives, that's really important. And this is the last, not the least, but I feel like that with the autonomous vehicle being around the picture, that's really a new area and a lot of startups are coming up. And this is where, startups usually like to share what they have achieved and their achievement through the papers. And this is a rich breeding ground of knowledge, and which could be potentially used as an market intelligence also. So these are the few aspects of how I believe SAE Mobilus is also in market intelligence. In the next slide, I will go a little bit more deeper that how this nuggets of knowledge of the intelligence steps will define your market strategy. So first one, we know that it's a publication platform and knowledge repository. We understand that clearly. Next one is that product and the technology path insights, provide the insights into the business strategy. So what it means. So when you see a certain company is approaching a certain technology, we know that it's going to require on certain components, and that basically defines the supply chains and the business of it. So one of the example, which I can just pick it up, is Liebherr. They have always focused on hydrostatic transmission for wheel loader, which is very different technology path from the rest of the wheel loader OEMs, and it has some benefits to it. So what it defined is that they started to develop their own pumps and motors on their product line. They did not rely on the supplier's designs or the supplier. So they started to make their own custom pumps and motors for their product lines. So you can see that how the selection of the technology has defined their business strategy. So whatever you are publication, whatever trends you can capture through the publication, I think 5 or 10 years down the line, it will show what the business management and the strategy of company is planning to take. So another area is, I'm not saying that SAE Mobilus is 100% of the market intelligence tool, but I strongly believe that when you use SAE Mobilus and patent search tools, it provides 360 view of competitive and technology landscape. Because if you know a certain company is working on fuel cell or certain companies working on hybrid system, right? So that if you marry both this worlds, I think it will give you pretty strong feeling of what the competition is doing and what are the technology options we have in play. Last, I strongly believe, which we have not talked about, that when we publish a certain paper, right, we acknowledge certain group of people to do that. And many of the times university or the new students publish it, but what I feel like is that it provides recruiters to also screen some potential talent, because they are the knowledge pool and they are the new generation, they are the young professional. So if you are selecting, if you are working on a certain new technology area, and if you can find those keywords and see the common names who have published it many times, then you know that you need to approach them for certain openings or certain opportunities in your company. So these are my thoughts that how I am thinking that SAE Mobilus could be used as a market intelligence and also maybe talent screening tool also. Next slide, please. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but this is where you are going to maximize your benefit for using SAE Mobilus, and we have seen demo uh, one of using SAE Mobilus and how we can set up the dashboard and the alerts related to that. So next slide. So this is if you keep going next. Okay. So this is what the slide I prepared for last year's conference. But what I believe that what is a role of SAE in developing career, we can't stress enough. But I believe that it is helping you for your all-round development. It gives you confidence, what you write, how you talk, how you make the connections, and it also gives the credibility. So you really need to have a good combination of all of those three things: confidence, credibility, and connection, 3 C's. And if you just have confidence and connection, no work or no example of credibility, people won't believe you. You'll have hard time in selling yourself and selling your thoughts to it. You could not establish yourself as a thought leader. Next set is the setting the direction. So you set the direction by publication and by participating in the standard. And we saw from Terry that if you are not participating, your competition is setting the direction for you. You may not want to do that. And also, this is a professional training. It has a bunch of books, knowledge, and also opportunities for the on-demand and the live classes. And yep, those are the three areas I feel like SAE has helped me, and it will be helping the young professionals. Next.
If I could jump in with you,
Sure.
Rohit, just for the audience, I have been asked a lot by young professionals and even seasoned professionals. So what's the benefit of participating with SAE? What's the benefit of being a member? And quite honestly, I say it's up to you. Because the bottom line is, if you become a member, bottom line, it's not like Willy Wonka's golden ticket. It's what you do with it. So by getting engaged and becoming a member, which is exactly what Rohit did, and he does an amazing job at leveraging the activities and using it for his growth and for the benefit of his own corporation.
Yeah. And I can say in my job, we work in the customer engineering group, where when I say that, hey, I have SAE publications published in this area, that helps me to gain a lot of credibility among my customers. Because Cummins being an engine company, you can talk about it, but when I go show up at their doors and talk about their technology, their machines, their systems, those credibility really help me to stand up and provide more ground to my conversation. Now this slide, I thought I'll go a little bit deeper into what are the common grounds for the aerospace and the ground vehicles. So on the left-hand side, ground vehicles, which are heavy-duty trucks, are different kind of trucks, right? On the right-hand side, we will talk about aerospace and defense. So for the ground vehicles, you can have military vehicles also, but it's mostly commercial. But for the aerospace and defense is commercial plus military, and we know that why. So what it does is that it transport and transform goods and freight. The reason I'm saying transform is imagine a tractor. What it does is that it is transforming a plant into a grain of food, right? It's transforming a material. But the aerospace and defense industry, it transport personal good and freights. So in the ground vehicles, it's very vertically integrated OEMs. We have around 20 most top OEMs, maybe five. So like Daimler, Packard, International, Volvo, and a couple of more them. But in aerospace, we have maybe less than five. So for the commercial, we got Airbus and the Boeing. Um, Another thing is that customer drive to service location. So if you're a truck, you'll drive to a service location, but you're an aeroplane, right? The service will drive to your location. And we have a lot of big commercial fleets, Knight and Swift, JB Hunt, Walmart, FedEx, UPS, etc. But air cargo is dominated by UPS and FedEx. Another thing is that in US 2019, the revenue generated by this industry is close to $800 billion. And in 2020, the global revenue for the air freight is only $111 billion. So most of the money the aerospace industry makes is through transporting the personnel. But the emergence of the e-commerce is propelling the air freight services. So ground vehicles supports nation supply chain, but aerospace, you can imagine a Boeing aircraft, it is strongly dependent on the supply chain. It's a non-vertically integrated company, and it is strongly dependent on the supply chain. So some of the challenges both the industry face is the driver shortage and the wages. Um, Challenges for the aerospace is the cost and adapting the globalization and shifting demand. So you can imagine what COVID has done to the aerospace industry, and also the workforce training is that a lot of the pilots and other folks are getting retired. So how to manage that? So next slide. So common trends, I'm going to read the words on the left-hand side, but the common themes in both the industry is buzzwords are connectivity, automation, and energy diversity. Now, in theory, these are the high-level common themes which we'll see evolving in next 5 to 10 years. But what I'll say that what Boeing adopted for the lightweight and the aerodynamic design 20 or 30 years back, I think we are seeing automotive and the ground vehicles are resorting to the same technique. For example, NASA did a lot of work for the aerodynamics of the airplanes and the rockets and the spaceships. Now, 10 or 15 years back, there was a huge lot of work for aerodynamics of truck. Same with the lightweighting for the ground vehicles. And now both the industries are pushing for more and more automation, digitization, and uptime friendly, and push for energy efficiency. So if you tie in the common threads, that definitely tells me that, hey, we need to cross-reference both the industry and learn from each other. If you go to next slide. This is an example of an energy and diversity. This is an heavy-duty truck. Some of them are long haul, some of them are just day cab. So you have a diesel powertrain, then you got diesel hybrid, we have natural gas, battery electric, and fuel cell. So this is just one application for different duty cycles, the different variety of powertrains, and you can expect the similar things will be carried on to the aerospace industry, and similarly to the marine industry also. So that brings to my last slide. is ground vehicles, and both aerospace industry offer its own unique challenges and similarities. And I strongly feel like we have to leverage the shared best practices and of the both industry and cross pollinate. And some of the points which I I felt pretty strong about it is that um, which standards does is that it drives opportunity to drive the design standard into your product design so that you are ahead of the game. It also provides some insight on what competition is thinking. Then also it demonstrate leadership image to the customers, and hey, and it provides heads up for the next generation of product requirements. So those will be my closing comments. So any questions and thoughts?